Hello, truth seekers. Lawrence here, and welcome to Easy Enlightenment. So, there are three kinds of truth. One is the absolute truth, the truth that is always constant, it's unchangeable. And then there is the relative truth. There's a shift in that. There's a sudden pattern to it, and it's always shifting, and it circulates. And then there is a personal truth, the truth that comes from the experience. Whatever we go through in life always leaves an idea, right? And we see certain idea as true from the experiential side, and we hold on to it. However, that personal truth starts to shift. We start to lose that truth once we have the better experience in life. So when there is a better experience, the mind upgrades, and that becomes the personal truth. And journey towards the true freedom or spiritual freedom is about figuring out the absolute truth, the truth that is constant. And this truth is about inward journey. It's the truth that is within. So to get to this absolute truth, to see the absolute truth, we must investigate on our personal truth. The personal truth itself is the mind, and all mind is an ego. Especially we have certain idea. That idea is our preference, and we are moving with that preference. We're maintaining our life, and even that preference is giving us the support in life. That preference itself holds the experience of struggle, experience of fear, isn't it? No matter how upgraded that experience we are holding, we also have the idea of, I don't want to lose this preference, because losing that preference is losing the routine, losing the stability, losing the boundary, and falling into the uncertainty in life. And for the ego self, falling into the uncertainty is scary. That means it is scary for us, especially when we are moving with the preference. That means our ego self doesn't want that. And and we want to be free from our struggle. That's why we are being part of the spiritual journey, isn't it? We want to be free from that inner struggle and the physical struggle. So we associate it with the spiritual journey to overcome that. And the process is by investigating on the personal truth. I would say that's the only way to get to the truth. Basically, absolute truth is the constant truth. Relative truth and a personal truth is always changing. That means when something is changing all the time, we cannot say it as truth, isn't it? Even it has a certain pattern that circulates, still changing. So when something is changing, we cannot say it as, true. So that means relative truth and relative truth and personal truth is not true. And journey to get to the absolute truth is about dismantling all that is not true, tracing back the untrue all the way back until we figure out the absolute truth, the unchanging truth. Again, I'm for me, that's the only way to get to the absolute truth, by working on the the investigating on the relative truth and the personal truth by tracing it back. When everything falls away, what is left is the absolute truth. And seeing the absolute truth is the way to be completely free from our inner struggle, free from the mind that is creating so much trouble, the mind that is creating a drama, conflict, fear. Isn't it? When we reflect in our lives, we know that the mind is creating so much trouble for us. Definitely, there are certain ideas in the mind is joyful. It gives us that uh, flow of fun. But also, there are so many things in the mind as an idea that creates a lot of fluctuation. Creates a lot of mental stress. So, again, to see the absolute truth, we really need to investigate on the personal truth, and from there we can get to the absolute truth. Right? The absolute truth is not outside of us. The absolute truth is within. So, for that, we have to work on ourselves to figure that out. It's not looking out in the world. It's not looking out in the universe to figure out the truth. Yeah. Looking into the universe is a failure to see the absolute truth. Look, the scientists, they've been looking out in the universe to figure out the truth, but they are failing to, see the absolute truth. Why? Because the universe itself is also in the movement, is shifting. Again, there is that relative pattern in the universe, in the world, but when there is some pattern, that doesn't mean that it is the absolute truth, because absolute truth is about no pattern. Anyway, because of the shifting world, changing world, that's why the science is failing to see the absolute truth. And also, we are failing because we're looking out for the truth where the truth is within in the first place. So, instead of looking out and relying on the universe to provide us the truth, we should work on ourselves by investigating on our mind, by tracing the mind backward, and the thoroughness, the unbiased investigation in tracing back the mind to its root, and also eliminating the root by further tracing back, and eventually we can see the absolute truth. So, it's the direct approach to figure out the truth. Again, I will say it's the only approach to figure out the truth. When you are associated with the spirituality, we look inward. That's the start. But after some point, we start to rely on, this superstitious idea that we rely in the universe to provide us the Big Bang. But that is simply another idea in the person. The universe is not going to provide you the absolute truth. The truth is already there, but to see the truth, we have to be aware. We have to put ourselves in the path, and we have to dismantle the mind, and that's the way to do it. Look at yourself. Are you relying in the universe to provide the truth? Are you relying on the deity? Are you relying on the God to give you the blessing? To see the truth. That's some of the ideas people have. We have this idea, when I'm ready, the universe will provide. So that is just, illusion. So instead of, waiting for the universe, the divine, intervene to happen. We just work on ourselves. We have the awareness to get there. Awareness is the key. We must utilize the awareness to get there. Awareness has the power to see what is true and what is not true. And using that, is the way to come home, is the way to be free from our own mind that is creating so much stress in our lives. So that's the, path. The path has to be taken by oneself to get there with a sincere, unbiased effort, unbiased investigation. Okay? Anyway, the conclusion of this video is there are three kinds of truth. I said three kinds of truth because, for to understand easily. Yeah. Again, there's the absolute truth, and then there's a relative truth, and there's a personal truth. Relative truth and personal truth is simply a pattern-based truth, and the pattern is always shifting, is always upgrading. And then there is the absolute truth, which is the realm of no pattern. And get to the absolute truth, all pattern has to be dissolved. That means the mind has to be dissolved to see the plain sight truth. And plain sight truth is no mind. No mind means no ego. All belief, all preference, all ego gotta go to see the absolute truth. That's why we must investigate on the the mind, that holds the pattern, that belief, the preference. So that's the journey, my friend. Okay, hope this video makes sense to some extent, and I hope you're enjoying the backward journey. Keep going. Your sincere work will get you there. Anyway, take care for now. See you in the next video.